Welcome to 87.9 Heat FM, based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte listeners, South Carolinians, Georgia fans, and all those across the nation and globe. Welcome to the Conflict Corner, where we see conflict, confront conflict, and resolve conflict. I'm your host, Sean McDaniels. Our beautiful co-host is the smooth Miss Jasmine fan. Jasmine, say hello to the people.
Hi, people. I'm so happy to be back this week, and I'm really looking forward to continuing this conversation that we're having. For those that are very much so anticipating this week, we are following up on violence, and I will say that a friend of mine was murdered Friday night by his girlfriend. A week after he was stabbed, he was shot by her. So I'm really looking forward to hearing more about on murder and violence and what other people are experiencing and feeling this week.
Absolutely. So with that said, we have a very impactful guest on our show this Sunday afternoon. I know she's going to be impactful because I know her story. So I'm looking forward to what Miss Wilveria Sanders is going to add to the conversation of violence. I'll let you tell your story. We'll just go ahead and open up. But Wilveria, say hello to our listeners.
Hello, listeners. My name is Wilveria Sanders. I'm so happy to be to talk to you all. This is an honor to discuss about my brother. I'm the sister. I'm the baby sister to Shelton Sanders. He went missing on June 19th, 2001 to violence, and he is still missing today. It is an unsolved murder, and I've been the family advocate on behalf of my parents and my other two brothers for the past since 2018. But of course, my parents and Sergeant McDaniels here has been working on the case so well for the past 21 years. And I'm just so grateful to be able to talk to the listeners and to tell our story. It's been a long 21 years trying to seek justice for my brother's case. It's very hard to lose a sibling. One, not knowing what happened to your sibling. Two, never having the remains or having a proper burial spot where you can visit that loved one. And then three, nobody, not one person has served any jail time or prison time for the death of my brother. So, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, it's broken down like in my entire family, especially my parents, because they birthed him into the world on August 31st, 1975. My brother was 25 years old at the time he went missing out of Columbia, South Carolina. He was a wonderful son, cousin, brother, grandchild. Well, he wasn't able to become an uncle at the time. He didn't have any nieces or nephews, and unfortunately, he never was able to have children or get married. He would give you the shirt off his back. He loved to cook. He was a football fanatic. Loved Dallas Cowboys. He was attending University of South Carolina with a major in information technology, and he was a systems manager as well by career. So he's deeply missed. We cry every day for him. He was my parents' right hand. He was cutting grass, cooking out on the grill. He was a very best friend to a lot of his friends, and they talk about him all the time and they miss him. His life was cut down very short, for no reason at all. We don't even have a motive, not a true motive. Um, and I have been working extremely hard, um, because I was only 11 years old at the time he went missing in 2001. And I watched my parents suffer, crying. Um, my dad, being a magistrate judge, he was pretty much working the case on his own for the first couple of years with the help of law enforcement. And it was a traumatic experience as an 11-year-old trying to figure out what is going on in the household when my dad and my really wasn't, he was sheltering me and my brothers of knowing what the situation that was going on because he was trying to protect his family. So growing up, I always wanted to know what happened to my brother. Why didn't he come back home? Why the pain and the hurt of my parents is there. And so in 2018, I just took it upon myself to talk to my parents about the situation at hand, what took place, like trying to get an understanding of what happened in the courtroom when we went to court in April of 2008, because we did have a defendant. Um, Someone was arrested for the death of my brother, but unfortunately we had a hung jury, so he was able to and still live his life. So I have been trying to seek justice, because of, it's hard to know what it feels like to lose a child and a sibling unless you're in that person's shoes. And I have done so many things, and I'll just go down with just a short list. Um, I've reached out to Sean McDaniels, Sergeant McDaniels, who's with the Richland County Sheriff's Department. I thank you so much for picking up my call. When I was just like, I was just overwhelmed with emotions of sadness, hurt, and pain, and not understanding what was going on with the case, and why we hadn't heard anything for from the trial from 2008. So I kindly reached out to you, Sean, and I said, help me understand what took place, what's happening, what's going on, and what it looks like in the future can we go back to trial? And you helped me so much by understanding what it was, what happened, going over the notes, the case, just kind of like summarizing of what was said, what was done, what wasn't done. And so, which kind of helped me, I guess, in a right direction of where I need to go. So I took it upon myself to be my own private investigator for my brother's case, and I took off. I started social media pages. I used my own money, my own money to raise the cash reward of $25,000 for my brother's case. Ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches until I got that money, and it took me about a year to save that money. From there, I started just trying to figure out just reaching out to different resources, like sources of what should I do here. This is what I think I know. This is what's been on court TV when we were on there. And I said, well, what can I do? So I started to reach out to psychics, try to see if I can get a perspective from different mediums. I started reaching out to podcasts, radio stations. I did the billboards. I put my brother on several billboards in Columbia, Sumter, our hometown, Sumter, South Carolina, in Greenville, where the suspect actually lives now. I've done yard signs. I put that at almost every stoplight, every section, every highway section, intersection on the highway of I-20, I-77, I-26. I have Finding Shelton Sanders is his social media page on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And from there, I have been having crime shows producers reach out to me, saying that the story was very compelling. Shelton's story was very compelling. They wanted to talk to me in detail. So I'm actively involved with that. I've met with the Attorney General in South Carolina. He was very helpful. Law enforcement, the Richland County Sheriff's Department was so helpful, and I appreciate the cold case detectives who's been working on this case. Sheriff Lott has been outstanding. He's been wonderful. And I just want to thank all of the folks that have been understanding, even though they haven't experienced this pain or this loss, they just understood that we were grieving and that they wanted to help. So I've done so many things. I just had a commemoration for my brother that was open to the public it was 20 years last year. June 19th, 2021 made 20 years, and I had a big, huge commemoration for the public to come out and celebrate his life because he was that important to us. So I had his memorabilia. His room still looks the same, so I had that on display. All of his clothes, his resume, his papers that he would write at USC. Everyone was able to understand who my brother was, how he impacted our lives, and that he's important to us and he will never be forgotten. And just a cry for help, that for public awareness. This is who my brother is. Please help us find him. Any leads, anyone. We just want to know where my brother's remains are. He didn't deserve to die. He didn't deserve what happened to him. He deserves to be home with us, and we just want him home. Right now, and I'm actually waiting to make this public on June 19th of this year, I've increased the cash reward to $50,000. And maybe some people may say, well, why are you increasing the cash reward? Because at this point, I'm willing to give up my entire everything, my world, just to have my brother home and to give my parents some sort of closure, because for 21 years of not knowing where your child is, just you and explain the pain that I've seen my parents go through. And it's very heartbreaking. It has impacted me as a child. I would come home crying and just not understanding my parents' emotion because they wouldn't tell me what was going on. But I knew as I grew older that is why there was so much disappointment or sadness or crying or grief going on in my home. And so as a 32-year-old young lady now, I had to process so many things at a young age, and it's hurt. It hurts. And seeking justice for my brother and bringing him home and having some sort of closure for my entire family is what's important to me. It gives me drive. And I've been reaching out to other homicide victims' families and missing persons families, and I want to help them. I'm like, come to me. If you want a billboard up, let me know. I'll help you and your family get a billboard. If you need some leads, I'll help you. If you need a podcast number, or you need get in touch with this person or that person, come to me, because I understand. I grieve. I want to be your support. I want to be there to help you. Let's talk about let's talk about the situation. We all are going through the walks of life, and we need someone to lean on, especially when we don't have anybody to talk to. And I find it very difficult to find people that have gone through the same similar situation as my family has. And, just reaching out on social media, I was able to collect a lot of information from other victims' families, and we've connected on so many levels. And, we've been on, national TV and local news, just displaying our publicly making it aware of our missing loved ones or unsolved homicides. So I've been very active in the community, seeking, other victims that have gone through the same. And currently right now, we have 270 missing persons in the state of South Carolina. Um, and it's, I don't, to the life of me, I'm just trying to figure out, how are all these people missing? And of course, law enforcement is, we need law enforcement. Law enforcement, there are people that may not like law enforcement. There are people that, may not, but, we need them. I mean, they have a overwork load of work. It's maybe not enough law enforcement, or their casework is too heavy, but we need them. And we need to have that relationship where we can work together as a family, and the victims, and work with law enforcement to resolve these cases, because it's just way too many victims that are either deceased, unsolved homicides, or missing persons. So that's a little bit about, I can go on, but that's a little bit about, who I am, about my brother and his case, and where what's my vision and my mission now, is to seek justice and help other victims that are going through the same thing as my family have been for the past 21 years.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. Very, very impactful, as I said it would be. And I know you say you can keep talking, and we could keep listening. So let's do that. Let's dive right into it, Wilveria. Over the past 2 weeks, we've entertained the conversation about the increase in violence. And for a point, and with respect to a little bit of clarity, it's law enforcement has alleged that that your brother Shelton Sanders, in fact, died as a result of circumstantially gunshots. Circumstantially, I believe that there was I don't believe, I know. Okay, it was my case. Let's just
I
cut
got
to the
you.
chase.
I
Okay?
know.
It was my case.
And you worked
right?
hard on it.
Absolutely.
Trust that. You worked
No,
very hard on it.
So
years.
we were able to discover that there were 3 gunshots heard by a neighbor, an older neighbor. Mark Richardson is a African American male whom, after reinvestigating the case, when we got it back from Sumter County Sheriff's Department, a 2-prong approach was created, and that was primarily to re-interview every single witness that was involved in the lives of both Mark Richardson and Shelton Sanders, and to focus on the forensic evidence and the physical evidence that we had as it relates to like cell phone records, things of that nature. And so we really focused on that, trying to to allow the facts to develop into its own truth, so to speak. And so it took that effort, and that was in 2003, after we found the vehicle that Brother Shelton Sanders was last driving, and that's when the case was assigned to me. So fast forward, and we made an arrest. Mark Richardson is charged with the murder of Shelton Sanders, based on some pretty strong circumstantial evidence. But with as you alluded to throughout your introduction, the absence of the remains of Shelton Sanders. And so they were still subsequently charged. I'm sorry, he was still subsequently charged. And, this is the same guy that while interviewing him, he said to me, how do I explain getting rid of a body? So he admitted to going to the house and helping the family look for him. I believe he showed up, the very next day, and was pretty irate, and was actually helping. Well, not helping, but he was he showed up under the guise of trying to help. Let's say that. And so, fast forward, went to court, went to a trial. It was on Court TV, back when Court TV was, that channel. And we came back with a hung jury that was split racially. I think that's key and important to highlight. The foreman was an African American male. It was 8-4, and the only 4 were Black, and the only guilty verdicts came from the white jurors, which were 8. And so we knew that this was going to be a tough case. I think it was put up by a very good prosecution team. And I don't know if honestly that it was well put together. The evidence was put forth. At the end of the day, tough for everyone. And I understand that, this is a wonderful family. I need y'all to know that this is a truly wonderful family. This is so, this show is about the impact of gun violence and the increase of violence, more specifically, throughout urban environments. So, and now we're seeing that there's an influx in gunplay in the suburbs and things of that nature. Why? Because conflict, you can't dress conflict up. Conflict is, if it's a conflict in one place, it will evolve into a conflict in another place. And until you deal with it, a conflict is not going to go anywhere until it has finished teaching humanity every lesson it was designed to teach them. And so if you're dealing with emotional issues, and you're dealing with socioeconomic issues, and all these things are actually causing some of an interpersonal angst, understand that that's a conflict that's not going to go away until you deal with it. And so that mindset, people are angry, they're not using conflict resolution skills, primarily because they were not trained to do so. We're trained in this country to handle things by way of violence, meet me outside, but in this particular case, the normal narrative does not fit. This is the son, the college graduate, the comedian of the family, the one to bring a different degree of energy to the household. This is the son of an educator, a science teacher in the local town, the son of a judge, a magistrate judge, and still the initial narrative of these are drug dealers or these are drug related individuals was the story behind the murder of Shelton Sanders. That was for the first couple of years, when it was not under the jurisdiction or being investigated primarily by the Richland County Sheriff's Department. And so, ultimately, I believe, and will always believe, that we charge the right individual. I think that, the bigger issue now is not even, not necessarily even, the charge, but the right thing is to, like, come on, just give us a tip, write a note, leave it under a rock, send it by the mailman, and then let the mailman hand it to the dope man, let the dope man hand it to, the lady that know everybody's business, let the lady that know everybody's business hand it to the little kid that's on a bicycle that,
absolutely.
I mean, and then, like, just kindly place it in my mailbox. You know what I mean?
There you go. That's all we asking. That's all we're asking.
That's
anonymous
it. Like, let's,
anonymous.
I mean, listen,
leave the bank account number so you can get the cash reward if that's what you want to.
I mean, right. And so, at the end of the day, that's what it becomes. It becomes bigger than, it becomes bigger than law enforcement. It becomes bigger than, just an individual or an old narrative. It becomes our story, and it needs to become our story. This violence, this increase in violence, we have to adjust to um, a need for change, and that's going to take some adjusting, right? So let's talk about that. So you're knowing the facts as you know them, with respect to the murder of Shelton Sanders. If you can, say something to the 11, 12, or 13-year-old child right now who is dealing with the loss of a sibling, an older sibling that is funny, an older sibling that, like, backed them up when secretly when the parents were like, getting on them, the presence of peace that a sibling brings, and now it's gone, right? What do you talk to them so that when people are looking at this, they can begin, as I'm speaking right now, to start to go get them, to go get whomever they know is dealing with it, so they can hear you speak to them. And I know that if you want to take a minute or a second to, like, to figure out what that is, but the floor is yours.
So I want to say to any young sibling that has lost an older sibling, or to gun violence, or for a missing persons case, or an unsolved homicide case, for any other acts of violence, talk and I wish I could tell myself this: talk to your parents to find out, and if you can, talk to your parents to see if you can get some type of understanding, um, and or seek, um, and I can't really say this to a child because they wouldn't have the means or resources to do this, but to seek help, professional help. But express yourself, and don't be passive like I was. And I was just sweeping it under the rug. Well, mom and dad are not saying anything to me, so I won't say anything. I'll just go to school and let people tell me what their theories of based off of what their parents said. Please don't approach it, and don't be passive, and keep it to yourself, because bottling up those feelings for so long as a child, you're going to grow up as an adult and have these unresolved issues. So for a young person, 11, 12, 13, and you're dealing with what I dealt with, please speak up and speak out. um, Tell it to your pastor, your teacher, your parents, a friend, or anyone, any other adult, to tell them how you feel. Ask questions, no matter how many questions it is. Please ask questions, get help, um, speak your mind. um I know as a child there's but so much you can do, but be their voice, be your siblings voice, and talk about their personality, who they were. Talk to your local law enforcement to see if you can get any information out of them, and be their voice because they need you. Especially with my brother, I mean, he taught me how to. I don't even know why he was doing this, but he was teaching me how to play football. We live on 25 acres, so he would throw the football at me, and I'm supposed to catch it, play tackle. I don't even know why, but he was showing me how to, because he was in karate class when he was a kid, so he wanted to show me karate. He made me get a step ladder, and go to the kitchen and make breakfast every Saturday morning for my parents. So he wanted to make sure that I became this outstanding young lady at such a young age. And he told me the last time I saw him, he told me, and this was on June 16th, 2001, 3 days before he went missing. And he told me that, I want you to get married and I want you to have 8 children. And I still haven't met that yet, the 8 children, but he was on me a lot about my studies, making sure that I had my grades up, because I was in elementary school. But when he didn't come home that night on June 19th, 2001, um, in my heart, I knew something wasn't right, but I was just so young. I didn't know what to say or how to approach the situation. And which has me now as an adult wanting to get the answers that I never received then. And so I would say to any young child that's suffering from this, please get help now. Um, you will thank yourself as an adult that you would have the answers then, that you know, you would have had your answers as a child than waiting till an adult and trying to process, understand, and grieve at the same time. So be your sibling's voice, be a shoulder to cry on for your parents, and express yourself. Cry, scream, kick, whatever you have to do, get those emotions out. Because I bottled in my emotions for years. I didn't cry over my brother until I was 28 years old. And I cried, and I'm still struggling with it because I was never able to express myself when I was that age. And it's definitely affected my adult life, um, my work life, and my home life. So um, be their voice. Your sibling would want you to do, and you will know because they will come to you. My brother actually came to me in my dream twice. Um, 2021 last year, he came to my dream and just had his arms out and gave me a big hug and said he was proud of me. So I knew that I was doing something right. And he, his spirit, I feel like his spirit comes into me to keep me going, because this right here can tear me down so hard, mentally and emotionally, working on his case, because I get so frustrated on why is this so complicated. And had I known the answers when I was a child, I would have been able to process it better. But because I felt like I was not told what was going on at this time in 2001, I felt angered by that. So please seek help. Please get the information that you need. Please let out your emotions and talk to someone and be their voice.
I think you made some really good points with the children as well, especially because children are much more resilient than we give them credit for. They're
Yes.
able to pick up a lot more pieces, and they're able to really understand more than we give them credit for. So I think having these discussions with children is maybe not in such deep detail, but
Yeah.
at least so that they have an understanding and so that they can process is really important.
That's true.
Tell me about how you're processing as an adult, since it's so different from when you were a child. Are you doing anything to help your inner conflict down?
So as an adult, well, I have so many emotions. So I'll start here. The first emotion is, did why why did Mark Richardson take my brother's life? Why? What it was so bad that it, not only did you take his life, you you know I mean, you pretty much, the body hasn't been found. Like, you put the body somewhere where no one can ever find it. Why are you holding on after 21 years of still not giving the families closure? At least tell us what happened. um then there's another of my parents. They are grieving, so trying, no child wants to see their parents hurt, cry, or you know just weep, and sleepless nights, not eating, like watching my dad, leave the house every day to go out into the woods or into the bodies of water, watching my dad go into the swamps to look for my brother. You know, how how trying to process that as a child as into an adult now, I have memories of these things, and I cry because I'm wanting to know why us? Why did it happen to us? Um, it affects me, personally, because, as a child, I started working when I was 14, 15 years old, trying to help my parents make ends meet because when my brother went missing, they had to retire. They had to leave, their jobs. My dad was a magistrate, army for over 30 years. My mom was a teacher for 30 years. They had to stop working, and they weren't ready to stop working. So I was trying to become an adult quick at that age to help them make ends meet. So as an adult, you know, I'm still in that mode. Like I never was able to have a childhood. I was focusing on helping my parents, and now um at this age, I have like a lot of unresolved issues. Like I'm a workaholic now. I don't want to stop working. I want answers to why my brother went missing. You know, I I want my parents happy. I want my brother's remains. Like there's so many things going on. My mind race. I don't sleep maybe 2 and 3 hours a night, and that's enough. Like sleeping long hours is not. It has never worked out for me. Since I was a little girl. So, um, you know, eating for comfort because I'm depressed because I want my brother home. It's so many. It's challenging on so many levels. Just trying to get a hold of the understanding of why did this happen to us? When is it going to end? When is the pain going to end? When is Shelton going to come home? When are we going to have the remains? When is Mark Richardson and or any other persons that had anything to do with my brother's death? When are they going to come forth? How can they live with themselves for 21 years and just bottle this thing up? How do they live with themselves? So it's a lot of emotions, a lot of things that I think about on a daily, and I can't seem to get it out of my head.
Have you reached out for additional help as well?
Oh yeah, I've definitely. Actually, when my parents, when this first happened in 2001, my brother's job, he worked at the behavior neuropsychiatry, as a systems manager. So he was working on their IT. So he was in a building with psychologists and psychiatrists. So he was, their systems manager. So he worked on their computers. So and it was a suggestion by his boss to my parents saying, "Hey, this is Shelton's job. We have psychologists, psychiatrists here. Your family to seek counsel here." So I was able to get counseling at 11 years old. They were asking me questions about how are you feeling, but at 11 years old, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know why I was there. I was just being told, you need to talk to a psychiatrist without any explanation of why I'm there or what I need to talk about. I just remember being 11 years old and sitting in front of a psychiatrist asking me questions. I can't remember what it was now, but you know, I I don't even remember even the answers, because like I said, I didn't, I do remember him asking me, "How do you feel about your brother being gone?" And I don't even remember what my answer was, but trying to process why I was there or what the questions I'm supposed or how am I supposed to be answering as an 11-year-old, um, was kind of confusing to me. But as I got older and started understanding what, about, my brother being missing, I guess I should clear something. I found out details of my brother's disappearance in the courtroom in 2008. I was 18 years old when we went to the court. And at that moment in April of 2008, I was in the courtroom just looking, staring. And Sergeant McDaniel would look at me. He said, "You would not stop staring at us." And I was like, because that was the first time I'm hearing this thing for the first time. I'm like, I didn't know that like these guys, the witnesses, I've never seen them before. I'm not hearing all this stuff. So I really got to understand. I've gotten knowledge of my brother's disappearance 7 years after he went missing. So, and I was 18, so I was just graduating or getting ready to graduate from high school, and I always kept that with me into college. But then in college, I was finding myself trying to get a career, trying to finish school, and it wasn't until 2018 is when I guess, I blossomed and just said 10 years is long enough. It's time to bring my brother's remains home. So throughout college, I've seek help from psychologists and psychiatrists and saying, look, this is a burden on me. I've had this on my heart since I was, in high school, trying to process this of something that happened to me when I was 11, but never gained the understanding until I was 18. And now growing up to be in my late 20s, I'm I'm starting to feel emotionally down because of the situation. So then I started seeking active help for that, especially for not sleeping at night, because that was the root cause of it, not being able to sleep.
And how are you sleeping now?
Same thing. So it's still going to bed 1:30 in the morning. Mine is racing of, okay, what can I do differently today on my brother's case that I didn't do yesterday? What unique type of things can I see? Like, who can I reach out to today? What other techniques can I do to bring justice? Or, and it's not just my brother's case. You know, access to the computer. So, if I can't sleep, I'll, look up something on the computer for the next day of work, or go downstairs, ask my parents, because they're late night owls too. So they're up, and I'll, help them out around the house, or the kids, trying to get them to bed. So get them in a routine. So it's just, I'm juggling so many things, and my mind just won't stop racing. And then I'll just pick up my suitcase over here and, you know, open the books and just started reading the notes that I've been collecting over the years on my brother's case. And of course, my dad collected thousands and thousands of documents, kept so many notes on the case of my brother. So I would go through his stuff and formulate my own notebook of notes and the facts, and watch the court TV DVDs, and like go over, like, okay, what am I missing here? And let me insert this, and pretty much like build my own case file. And I'll just study it. And I'll just think of, okay, what did we miss? What can I do differently? What am I capable of doing without running into any illegal action? So yeah, I don't sleep still. I work from 6 to 4:30, 6 in the morning. So I'm in bed maybe 1:30, and I'm up by 4:30, getting the kids ready, myself ready, getting the kids to daycare. I leave the house by 5:30 in the morning, get them to school by 6 o'clock in the morning, come back home and work, take a lunch break. I'm trying to start exercising. Maybe that'll help, but not really that much. But um, work for the rest of the day, pick up the kids around 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I'm back here giving them a bath, giving them dinner, and then I'll go back to looking at my brother's case again and going back down. I just found myself going back and forth, like juggling from this task to that task to this task. So my brain doesn't stop. Um, of course, I'm on social media, looking at crime podcasts, watching crime shows, seeking out other victims, families that are on social media. So reading their storylines and what's going on with theirs, to see what they're doing that I could do, or I'm suggesting to them what I'm doing that they could do, so we can all, like, put the same word out there for, like, trying to be the advocate for our family, the victim. So I'm constantly doing stuff just because I can't sleep. It, and if I don't know, it's just like going to bed at 11 o'clock is just not normal for me. Going to bed at 12 o'clock is just too early. I can't even shut my eyes and get into a rhythm. I just can't. My body winds down right at 1:30 in the morning, and then I finally can get some rest. But I toss and turn throughout the night. I'll get up to get something to drink 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll lay back down, toss and turn again, wake up. So it's a off and on. I don't just sleep continuously. So, yep.
And so let me ask you this: what tips do you have for someone in your situation, where basically you said, you lost a sibling, but you have to watch your parents miss your sibling,
Mhm.
and then the responsibility of taking care of your parents in that
Mhm.
situation? What advice do you have for those sons and daughters who are now watching, due to the loss of a sibling, watching their parents suffer?
So, I'm not gonna even lie. even for my situation, what's been so difficult is that, so my parents had me at a late age. They were in their 40s. So me as a 32-year-old, my parents are in their late 70s. And so it's not only trying to take care of my parents because they lost a sibling. Now my parents are in their um, they are in a situation where I um not completely disabled. I don't want to use that word, but are needing extra assistance in the house.
Mhm.
So that's the most difficult part. Trying to uh I guess making sure they eat, making sure that they have what they need, trying to financially take care of them where when they can't meet it, meet ends meet. So it's very, very hard to watch them grieve and be in an older age at the same time. I'm very blessed to be able to have my parents after they've lost a child and not knowing where he is. You know, I I don't I don't understand how they even deal with that type of level of pain. I'm a parent myself, and I don't think I mean, I can't see myself living without my child. So, what they're going through and watching them suffer, not just mentally and emotionally, physically, literally physically watching them suffer in the house, um, is something that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. That's very painful watching your parents physically break down as they get older in age. So to anyone out there my age or in their 20s or a sibling of a missing person or a homicide and you have your parents there, take care of them. But here is one advice that I never gave myself that everybody tells me that I don't do. Take care of yourself first. And I am a I I do not take care of myself. And I have to do a better job because I put my parents first, my kids first, my brother's case first, my job first. Everybody in my life comes first. And I put myself on the back burner. And I will deplete myself if I don't take care of myself. And I want to be here to solve my brother's case. So I have to, and I want to be here for my parents and my children. So I have to take better care of myself. And I'm not good at it. But you know, my advice is to it, and whoever's listening, if they want to reach out to me through finding Shelton Sanders social media, and you're suffering from the same thing. I am an open person. I'm personable. I would love to talk to you. I would love to learn how how you're moving throughout life and how you grieve and how you take care of your family and yourself. Because I would love that support. I'm a pretty, I'm antisocial, introverted. I should say I'm not antisocial. I'm introverted at heart. But when it comes to this, I'm an extrovert. Like I prefer to work alone. I prefer to be within my just in a room and just cry. But I'm an extrovert when it comes to my brother because no one else is going to be his voice. And so I find um I find comfort into talking to other victims, such as my as that's going through what I'm going through. So, to someone in my shoes that's going through the same thing, you know, just speak up, take care of your family, but take care of yourself too. Take care of yourself. Whatever you like to do, you like to go out to eat, or you want to get out for a walk, exercise, or you want someone to talk to. Just do whatever you got to do to take care of yourself because you need to be around to bring your family justice and to keep taking care of your parents as well.
So, all right. So we're in the last few minutes of the show here this Sunday. I If I gave you a bullhorn and when you click this bullhorn on, you're given an opportunity to to speak directly into the ears of individuals who find it comfortable shooting at someone else. Well, you wouldn't yell at them. Your bullhorn would just speak to them in their own conscience. Imagine how powerful that is.
Exactly.
That power exists. That's hegemony, but that's another show. Know that clearly, we're if you're not careful and don't try to conscientize yourself, you will definitely end up robotic in nature as we navigating through this hegemonic trance that we're in. But so they can hear you in their head. They can hear you in a very loud and soft kind of way at the same time, if that exists. Right?
Gotcha.
What would you say to them? What would you say to them?
Here's what I would say. Resolve conflict without guns, without violence. There is no need for violence. Guns don't kill people, but people kill people with guns. So in that perspective, think about your own mother, your own father, your own grandparents, your own children. What would it feel like to lose them by the act of gun violence or any domestic violence? How would you feel if they were taken away from you and you will never see them again or ever know where their remains are? How would you feel? A lot of people are acting on impulse because they want instant gratification. Just pray about it, or take a moment to calm down and think about how this will impact your life forever. Because it's not worth taking someone else's life for your own gratification. Every person's life is precious, and that person is not. You're not God. You didn't bring that person in the world, and you shouldn't take that person out. I mean, have a heart, have compassion, have some type of remorse for that person's family, and just walk away from the situation, or seek out help from someone who can help you resolve that conflict without having to go to pick up a gun or a knife, or or using an object, or using your own bare hands. You don't have to go into to resolve conflict through acts of violence or danger. And so, to tie it into my own brother's case, for our family, we forgive who Mark Richardson and the other, if there were any other persons that had any dealings with the death of my brother. We forgive them. We just want my brother's remains home, and if there's money that you want, we'll give it to you. We're not even seeking revenge or anything. We're a Christian family home. We just want my brother's remains home. And for anyone who's going through a situation where they're thinking about committing an act of violence, or they don't know how to resolve conflict, just calm down, take a minute, reflect, and think about how this is going to impact not only your life. You have to think about the other person's family. That person has other family members. So
I just want to ask you this question, like, what is that like? So yeah, great advice. And
yeah,
so let's peel calm down back. Let's critically let's perform surgery on this term, calm down. How let's make it tangible, if you will, something that we can
Sure.
touch. How do you tell someone whose interests, desires, and wants are fueled by emotion to calm down, whether the interest is in defending themselves or the desire to harm someone?
Mhm.
How does one calm down? And I promise you, listeners, listen, we did not prep. We did not talk about conflict. We never broke down what conflict resolution, is here at the conflict corner. This is raw. We call it in science raw data. This is
Yeah, it is.
good. This is good qualitative data from a face-to-face interview with someone that's mentioning the need to calm down and to seek some form of conflict resolution. But I want to peel back. Calm down. He's mad right now. Wilveria, the person that you're talking to right now, he's hot right now. Right?
Yeah.
Somebody just shot up his house. They just
Yeah.
shot up his house. Police just left. He's hot, but he's
Yeah.
listening to you. He's listening to you. What does calm down look like?
Whew. You know what? That's the hard one because, okay, let's take it for me. I don't know if you don't mind me being raw because we didn't discuss this, but let's talk about me.
All right.
I in the beginning, um, I was very upset that someone took my brother's life and, has caused my parents deep hurt. So how I calmed down is I prayed, I took deep breaths.
Mm.
You know, I you I got antsy, I started fiddling and all kind of stuff, but I guess I can't really say the emotions that I was feeling or what I wanted to do, but trust me, it was there.
Nah,
It
yeah,
was a
don't
lot
say
of things.
that.
Yeah, it was there. I mean, it's a human, but it's human. It's human nature to feel like you want to seek revenge, right?
Right.
But then you think about, okay, but this is how you do it. You think about, is it worth going to jail? Is it worth losing your family? Is it worth never, is it worth losing out on quality of life for instant gratification?
Mm.
So taking deep breaths, praying, thinking about consequences, what possibly could happen, and the outcomes of the circumstances of the situation if you were to commit a crime. So, and that's, I guess, to me, of what calming down. I'm pretty sure there's other tactics of calming down, but that's how I practice calming down, because dealing with my brother's case in general, had me feeling like, what, this does not make any sense. This doesn't, I want instant gratification. I just want this person to tell me where my brother is. I want to, and I'll tell you, this is what I did to calm down. I did reach out to the suspect just a year and a half ago by letter. I wanted to approach this guy in person so badly, but you know, I thought about, how my parents would feel if I did that. I thought about my children. I thought about Mark Richardson would feel if he saw me at his front door, you know. And I just thought about a lot of things, and I took that in consideration. And I said, you know what? I'll just do this by letter. I'll write him what I want to say, what we've been feeling, and how he can approach me directly. And I keep a tip line number, phone. I actually have a phone that I have as my brother's tip. So instead of tips going to law enforcement, they actually come to me, and I monitor that call. So he's never reached out to me, and that's how I calmed down. Like, I was so anxious to do it one way, but then when I took a step back and I thought about different ways of instant gratification that's not as dangerous, then I was still able to still get gratification, but not in the gratification that I want it to be in. So calming down is just thinking of different ways of getting what you want without it being a danger to someone else. And just think about the consequences of who's going to be impacted at the other end. It's going to impact their family and your family. So think about your life. Think about, you know, how far you've come, what you have to lose, what you have to gain. It's just so many different things that you have to take in consideration. But pray, definitely pray.
All right. So, and I know it's that horrible time of the hour as we're coming to an end. You were definitely awesome. I want to thank you for seeing it fit. I think, I don't know what, if you're in agreement, Jasmine, I think this needs to be a two-part interview, because I want us to peel the conflict resolution piece, and I want to start with the interpersonal one that you mentioned, and that's the unlayering of the internal conflict. And so if you will have us, please come back and be our guest. We can maybe schedule something this week, or the earlier part of next week. You've been awesome. Thank you so much. So many more layers to peel apart. Jasmine, say something to the people.
People, I really hope that you're able to take something away from this, because she was so incredibly vulnerable with us tonight, and that's not something that's easy to do. So we really appreciate you being here and being that open and honest and raw with us and with all of the listeners all around the world.
So Wilveria, we'll give you the last word. Wilveria, talk to our listeners. And
thank you, Sean. Thank you, Jasmine, for having me. Thank you to all the listeners that are tuning in today. And I want to just say, I hope I was, inspiration, or, something that I said that you can give to your family members, or that can help you in your life. And I hope to connect with you all. And I appreciate you listening, and take care.
Absolutely. And with that said, signing off from 87.9 Heat FM, the Conflict Corner. The Conflict Corner with your host, Jasmine Fan, and Walter Sean McDaniels. Love y'all. Miss you. See you next week.